Hello everybody, my name is Bragster and welcome to my review, my thoughts on the Royal Rumble 2021. Now, if you guys on the channel have noticed that this past week has been Wrestle Week on the channel, where I've done non-stop wrestling content for an entire week in the build up to the Royal Rumble, and this is the last video of Wrestle Week, to say the least. Obviously I'll still be doing wrestling videos here and there and everywhere, just that'll be it for that. But my thoughts on the Royal Rumble 2021, what a show. This video will include spoilers, so watch the show before watching this video. But what a show, what a show. I'll initially talk about the title matches. So we've got the women's tag team title match that happened on the pre-show, which was surprising, but I think it was the right decision. It was an alright match. The finish was kind of obvious, of Lacey Evans and Ric Flair getting involved, costing Charlotte Flair the match, which then means that we've got brand new champions in Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I think it was the right decision. I'm not sure how long they're going to hold those titles for, but it was definitely the right decision. They really need to build up that tag division in the women's division a lot more and stop shoehorning these teams together, or at least feeling like you're shoehorning them together anyway. Then we had the first match was Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg, and Drew won. I'm sounding surprised here, but I did predict Drew would win, and I feel like they built it up too much of Goldberg's new streak, and I had a feeling Drew was going to take it, but I was worried, man. I was worried. But Goldberg put Drew over like a champ. Like, he really did. Like the shaking of the hands, the holding up of the arms, the hugging. It really put Drew over as like the next big thing, and I know we already know that, but it really put him over more than I ever thought they would, which is obviously a great feeling. Then we had the Smackdown women's title match, which Sasha won. It was alright. I mean, they are both quality wrestlers. Sasha Banks and Carmella are great, and it was a good match. Just unfortunately, I just didn't care. I knew Sasha was going to win, so I just didn't care enough. Carmella wasn't billed as an actual threat to Sasha, so it was a bit weak, that one, but it wasn't bad. It was just I didn't care enough. And then we actually had the women's Royal Rumble match, one of, if not the best women's Rumble so far. The beginning of this Rumble was so strong, and I've seen people online disagree and say that the start of this Rumble was weak. I thought it was really strong. I thought they really had a lot of star power. I think in the first, from 15 downwards, obviously I'm just going to name people that were there. Bayley was there, Bianca Belair was there, Rhea Ripley was there, Charlotte Flair was there, all in the first 15 numbers. Now, all four of those were 4 of the 5 favourites. Only Alexa Bliss, who we'll come to in a minute, she is the only one that came later on in the Rumble. Every other one that was one of the favourites came really early on, and that really excited me. I really enjoyed that. I think, you know, it was clever move, really clever move to have really pack the start of this Rumble. It went off a bit in the middle. It wasn't weak, but they brought in the 24/7 title stuff, and I feel like it took away a little bit from the Rumble, unfortunately. But it is what it is. But it wasn't bad. That middle part, it just slowed down the pace a little bit, but then it picked up towards the end, and I know the final 3 for definite. It was Charlotte, Bianca, Rhea Ripley, and I had a feeling those final 3 were going to last a while, and I think it did last a while. I think it lasted a good 10 minutes between when those final 3 were announced as the final 3 and to when the winner was announced. I had a feeling that, you know, it was going to last a while. Those 3 were going to put on almost a great mini match, And they did. They eliminated Charlotte, Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Eliminated Charlotte, they worked together. And then obviously you had the little bit at the end with the mutual respect, because they were both on the apron. And rather than attacking each other, they both looked at each other, nodded, went back into the ring. And like the two faces decided, no, we're going to do this properly. We're going to do this motto on motto. So one of us is going to beat the other clean as a whistle. No excuses. So I thought that was really nice storytelling. And obviously Bianca won, which is amazing for Bianca. They are pushing her to the moon at the moment, which is amazing because Bianca is great. She cut in a really emotional promo afterwards as well. The other highlights of the match, Billie Kay is a star. She's a star. She was brilliant. Shotzi Blackheart shooting Billie Kay with the tank, that was brilliant as well. Shotzi didn't last very long though, I didn't like that. But it was very good. Shayna, I think, came out early as well. I think Shayna came out in the first 15 as well. Yeah, she did. Like, there was so much star power at the start of this match. And then obviously some returns in the middle. Tori Wilson, Victoria was there. I'm obviously going to forget a bunch of them, but those are two standout names that are still in my head. I haven't done any research at all for this. This is just my ramblings. But it was a quality match. I think it was possibly the best Women's Rumble yet. Alexa Bliss and Bayley I'm going to talk about here. Bayley's elimination was huge. Bianca eliminated Bayley, and that was a huge elimination. The camera didn't get it. It wasn't picked up. All we saw was Bianca taunting Bayley and Bayley on the outside of the ring. Poor camera work there, because that was a huge elimination, and that was truly the moment where it clicked Bianca was going to win the match, and the fact that they didn't pick that up on camera was quite disappointing. The other disappointment, Alexa Bliss. She came in about number 28, something like that, like quite late on in the Rumble she came out. She came out as Firefly Funhouse Bliss, almost immediately eliminated. She did some moves, she got eliminated almost immediately. The lights started to go down one by one, obviously to get baddie Alexa in, but instead of her actually turning, Rhea Ripley just grabbed her and tossed her out. Now, if Alexa was in the ring longer and that happened, I think it would have come across as a bigger moment, because Rhea Ripley was the only one in that ring not to be scared of Alexa Bliss, and that says something. That's subtle storytelling to a T, but unfortunately they didn't have Alexa in the ring long enough to really hammer home that story of Rhea Ripley's the only one not scared of Alexa. Now, if this leads to a Rhea Ripley Alexa match, I will forgive this elimination being so short. If it doesn't lead to that soon, by about Mania, what's the point? What was the point? Because they really didn't hammer home how important that elimination was, and that's quite disappointing. And those are the two disappointments in the Rumble. And to think that me and my friend Kai in our predictions contest, which went up yesterday, to which we drew, both of the women that we predicted had quite disappointing showings, and that hurts a little bit. Like, that's quite bad, to say the least. But I'm not disappointed about the winner. I just think a few parts could have been booked a little bit better, but it was still really enjoyable. The Rumble was amazing. Speaking of enjoyable Rumbles, the men's Rumble was immense. Insane. Really was. Randy and Edge started the match. Had about a 5-minute brawl before the match even begun, and it was a good brawl as well. It wasn't like a crappy one. It was like intense. Then the match started, and then Edge and Randy Orton got out of the ring again. And you had obviously Sami Zayn come out and stuff in number 3, and the storytelling in this one was great as well. Obviously the women's storytelling was brilliant with Billie Kay. Mainly Billie Kay was the storytelling element, with her and Jillian Hall, her and Peyton Royce and the Iconics, and then Billie Kay and obviously Riot Squad getting involved as well. So that was quite a nice story to tell. The men's one was all about Edge and Randy Orton at the start of this one, which I think we all expected as soon as those numbers were announced. But Randy Orton did get injured very early on, had to be taken out, and obviously came back very late in this Rumble. But I feel like this Rumble is all about the special moments, and first special moment was Carlito, for obvious reasons. We haven't seen him in ages. He looked jacked, by the way. Wow, like I should eat more apples if I get to look like that. It was a cracking Rumble match. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and Carlito was a big return. Hurricane came back. He seems to be hot-shotting all over the place between different promotions at the moment. And the big one was Christian, and that one got me, the Christian return. And I think watching it live this year, I didn't watch Edge's return live last year. I watched it the next day, and I'm annoyed I didn't watch it live. Watching the Christian one live really got me. It was quite an emotional return, and you could see that on Edge's face. Edge was emotional from the minute that Christian returned to the end of the Rumble, when he eliminated Randy to win at the very end. It looked like Randy was going to nick it, but then Edge managed to turn it around and eliminate Randy to win the match. Almost 11 years to the day, he won his first Rumble match, which is an incredible story. And as pointed out online, the date he retired is night 2 of WrestleMania. The April date, or whatever it is 10 years on from the date he retired to the exact day. So he better be on night 2, because what a story that would be. I'm not sure who he'll go for, whether he'll go for Drew or Roman. Kai seems to believe that it will be Roman. I believe it will be Drew that he goes for. So I like the fact it's quite open, and I'd like him to keep it that way for a bit longer. The Bianca one, I think it's quite obvious it's going to be her versus Sasha, and I think that's a marquee match. Some people are saying it's not marquee enough for WrestleMania, but if Bianca wins, it's marquee enough. If Bianca loses, it's not. Sasha shouldn't win that match. Bianca should, and I feel as though Bianca needs to win the title at Mania, and I think that will be the start of a new generation in women's wrestling in WWE. That finish between Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, having them as the final two, really cemented, and was quite an emotional moment to kind of just sit there and be like, geez, this is a change in the women's division. And in the men's, we had obviously the return of Braun Strowman, we had the return of Seth. Braun Strowman coming out number 30 was a bit disappointing. Jey Uso was announced to be in the match, wasn't in it at all, wasn't even referenced, wasn't even in the last man standing match, which I have a feeling there must be a reason for that, because that's a bit weird. Kofi was backstage with the New Day, but he wasn't cleared to wrestle, unfortunately. Seth Rollins returning was really good. It'd be interesting to see where his character goes from here, because I'm really not sure where he'll go. Keith Lee, one of the favourites, not even in the match. Brock Lesnar, one of the favourites, not even in the match. Disappointing that Keith Lee wasn't in that match, and I've heard a rumour or something that Mia Yim has picked up COVID, and that might be the reason that Keith Lee wasn't in the match. If so, fair enough, but if he could have been there, he should have been there. But the overriding feeling, what a show, and I thoroughly enjoyed WWE's Royal Rumble pay-per-view this year. It's always one of my favourite pay-per-views of the year, and it always comes at the start. It starts the year great, and it's put me in a really good mood. I already want to re-watch the 2 Rumble matches. I think they were quality matches. I feel like they'll go down really well. Having number 1 and number 3 in the men's and women's Rumbles respectively is really an interesting choice. I've never seen them do early winners in the same like area. Obviously, I know like the women's and the men's. Obviously, you don't really have them come out the same numbers and stuff. But I feel like I don't think they've ever done 2 back-to-back men's ones where they've been early. No, they haven't. Because 2004 was number 1, 2006 was number 2. That's the closest 2 early entrants of winning has ever happened. To have 2 in the same night is weird, telling a very similar story in both, but it was worth it just for what that story was. And yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed this pay-per-view. So yeah, and me and Kai drew the predictions as well. He's never beaten me. Still, I never mentioned it in the predictions contest because I was concerned, but he's never beaten me. He's never done it, and he will never do it. That's a promise. Once we start doing our live streams and punishments, I'm sure I will tease him every day of the week for never being able to beat me. But yeah. If you want to see more stuff like this where I react to the pay-per-views after them, obviously I'm doing predictions contests for all the pay-per-views from now on, and that's going to be enjoyable. Hopefully Kai said he would do more with me. He doesn't watch much outside WWE, so I think the rest will carry on being on my own, but the WWE ones at least will be me and Kai. Hit that like button if you want to see more stuff like this. If you don't, fair enough, I get it, but if you do, please put it down in the comments down below and hit that like button to tell me that you do enjoy me doing stuff like this. Comment down below what you thought of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view this year. I've seen some very positive reactions, I've seen some meh reactions, but mainly positive. I want to know what you guys think of the Royal Rumble this year. And if you're new here, please do subscribe and check out my other content, as I've got a lot of wrestling content on the channel while I'm trying to remain a variety channel. I'm struggling at the moment for ideas, but I'm trying my best. Anyway, so yeah, thank you guys for watching. I shall see all of you guys in the next video. See ya!